Hey, welcome back to the channel. So for those of you interested in Kindle Vella, you may be aware that they've recently updated their content guidelines to allow us to publish our Vella stories as an ebook, paperback, or whatever form we want, as long as it's got 10 episodes and is at least 30 days old. And so I thought that was a good time to update my spreadsheet. And for those of you who follow the channel, you'll know that I have produced a spreadsheet earlier that allows you to track different data for your Vella episodes, including word count and required tokens to unlock and all of that. And so I've went ahead and made a new version of the spreadsheet to account for the updates, including the information that they gave us. That's a little more concrete. So I wanted to quickly show you guys what's new in the spreadsheet. So if you do want to use this, you can follow the link in the description below to my blog, and then you can download from there. But anyway, what I've added to the spreadsheet is some color coding to let you know which not to update. So if it's red, it means don't touch it, because it's got a formula. It'll auto track your updates according to what it detects down here. So that's brand new. And you'll notice over here I have a section for total faves. We've been alerted that total faves, of course, that's when readers are allowed to give us a crown. They can give one a week, I think, just to their favorite story. And then if your story gets the crown, it's called a fave. I added a parameter that allow you to track how many faves your particular story has. So that's worth knowing. And then down here, you'll see that this is going to be whatever your top performing book is. So if you have more than one book that you're trying to do for Vella, and you happen to have each book happens to have faves, this will let you know which one is actually in the lead as far as which one the readers like the most. And I've added some new instructions to remind you not to touch. The other thing I wanted to mention is down here for completed status, I've added a third parameter. And don't worry, you don't need to memorize this because the template will show you. I'll get to that in a minute, but there's a new parameter for ongoing. And I'll explain that to you when I show you the template. The other things I added here was I didn't totally get rid of the read through by tiers, because you can still technically track them if you want to input inside these little pink squares, but I don't recommend it because it doesn't look like they're going to give us the information after all. So original version of the spreadsheet included the per tier tracking just in case we had that option, but according to what they're saying on the forums, it doesn't look like we're going to have that information. So I went ahead and blocked it off by color. Doesn't mean you can't still write inside of it, but it's a way to show you probably shouldn't, because it's not going to make a bit of difference. But you do still have the ability to see what your potential is over here by read through over on this side. So just bear that in mind. So what I did instead is I went ahead and I doubled up the columns, and now you have a section for likes. So each of your episodes can track how many times it's read and how many times it's liked. And then that's all going to be tracked up in this area here. So on the dynamic side, this token by tier is still the same, but now I have what's called a realistic average. What the realistic average does is it takes all of your potential read through by tier and then groups it all into one average tier. So across all your readers, since we don't have an actual report of what the reader tiers will be, I figured it would be best just to kind of guess by tier by averaging all the tier values together. So this is approximately what you might make, or what I might make so far on my particular story on the episodes I have released. And obviously, the more episodes you add, the higher this value should be. This will give you an estimate of what your book is worth so far. And then down here, this is when you actually start accumulating read through. So like, let's say if I have 3 people read episode 4, which we all know is where they begin to start tracking tokens, you'll see my value goes up to the episode's percentage times 3. And then you'll also notice that my total reader has updated on this side too. But since we're not accurate there, I'll put that back to 0. Over here, you'll see that it will track your total amount of readers and your total amount of likes for your entire story. And then down here, you'll see that there's a section that tracks whatever your best performer is. So if, let's say, you have the most reads on episode 10, and which would be kind of weird if 10 has more reads than, let's say, episode 9. But if it's anything like Wattpad, then I wouldn't be surprised if you see some skipping around. So at any rate, it'll tell you what your most read episode is, and then over here, which I think is a better value, is what your most liked episode is. And it'll of course read for whatever the highest ranking one is. You can obviously skim the line and see for yourself, but this just makes it a little more straightforward, a little more real. It does not account for ties, so if you have 2 episodes that tie for the same value at the highest, let's say episodes 3 and 4 both tie for 5 likes, and none of your other episodes have 5 likes, then it's going to take the first one, so episode 3 will be on that list. That's just, again, the way it's works out, but it's fine. Actual sales, I have a new section here for sales records. If you go over to the sales records, this is going to be more of a beta 3 stuff. But right now, I'm allowing up to 5 books for beta 2, so you can track the date that your sales comes in and just update here, and then whatever the total value is for your book, it'll be recorded here. So this is going to be the sum of all of your values for that book. So if we just real quick as an example, if let's say we earn $3 for, we'll say $30 for the first book, and then maybe 10 for the second, or sorry, 30 on day 1, and then let's say for the next month we only make 10. So that means we're still getting 40 for the book. So if we go back to actual sales, we have $40. So that's what that's about. This is just an extra quality of life feature. You may not even need this. So I'm sure Vella is going to accurately chart that for you. But if you want to compare your actual sales to your realistic average or your potential read through and see what the discrepancies are or whatnot, that's one way to do it. And then the other thing that we want to keep an eye on is this section here. This is your earliest to republish as a book. Because we've been given the information now that we're allowed to publish our Vella book as an ebook, paperback, whatever, provided it's 30 days old and has at least 10 episodes. I've updated this chart to allow you to find out when you can publish at the earliest. So right now you'll notice I have 9 episodes, and actually I technically have 10. I just haven't edited the 10th one yet. The 10th one is going to be about 4,000 words, so I'll just put in a temporary value, and then you'll see that it hasn't actually updated yet because it's going to recommend that I have a finished story. Now the most recent version is going to actually account for a continuous feature, but just for now, let's say I'm done. I'll say yes. Once I do that, you'll see that it actually gives me a release date. So because today is July 1st, it assumes that my earliest day I can publish is on August 1st, because that's 30 days. Realistically, it's going to be the end of August because we can't publish until after Vella opens, which is going to be sometime later in the month. I don't know what the actual date is for that, so the spreadsheet will not account for the first day of Vella as grand opening. So you will need to just know and factor that in from there. But for the most part, the spreadsheet is going, once Vella goes live, the spreadsheet will account for whatever 30 days out from your most recent or your latest release date is. Now there's a third parameter now called ongoing. If I put ongoing, what that's going to do is, sorry, this doesn't always, gotta go into form. Sometimes you can just change the parameter, and if you just go into format, hit OK, it should, oops, let's do that again, sorry. So if we want to go into font, hit OK. It's not doing so. All right, sorry, you have to switch out and then switch back in, and then it should update. That's something that Excel does. I don't know why. So if your chart locks out, you should be able to fix it just with a couple tweaks there. All right, so if you do ongoing, this is going to allow you to credit your story as part of a digest, which means, I know some people want to, do like 10 episodes at a time, publish that as a book, and then do 10 more, publish that as a book. If your story is going to be that kind of story, then you want to put ongoing in as your parameter. Again, the template will remind you of that. So anyway, my story's not finished, and I don't actually have 10 episodes live yet, so I'm going to go back and fix that. Okay, so that's this whole updated dynamic section. The other thing I want to let you guys know is I have included an algorithm for the taxes and fees. So if you do, once Amazon tells us what they're going to charge, you can just update that here. So everyone seems to think it's going to be about 30%, so we'll pretend it's 30%. I put that in there. You'll notice that my values have gone down by 30%. So this is going to be what the new values are after taxes if it's 30% per episode. So once we get a clear answer about that, you can just manually put that number into this box and it'll update for you. And then the other thing is the charts over here have been updated. There's a new chart down here called total likes. Once you start including likes, like over here, let's say episode 10 gets 3 likes. Let's say it's the only one that people like. You'll see that it's been updated. So that's going to be the beta 2 new additions. Now let's take a quick look at the template itself so you can see what you are going to be downloading, because you're not going to be downloading mine. You'll be downloading a fresh copy. So what does that look like? It looks like, I think it's this one here. So this is beta 2. You're going to obviously have to fill in all your own materials, so you'll write your series name, all that stuff. And of course, you have a place for tags. And if you haven't watched my last video on when I introduced the spreadsheet, I do recommend you take a look at that so you can see what all these other items are, as I don't really want to use this video time to refresh your memory. But you will see that, again, everything's color coded. The completed set has the list of the new parameter. And then over here, you'll see that this is all still standard. The only other thing to bear in mind on the placeholder is on the template is will have to add your own cover. What I did on my version is I moved this up to the current row, because sometimes these might push down the size of the cells may change, which means this may push it down a little too far. So you may want to move this to cell 14 on your own. That's up to you. But you'll notice that I've given you access to 5 books instead of 3. So the last version, you only had 3 books, but now you can do up to 5. Once I do beta 3, I think I'm going to be giving you as many as 10. So that'll be good. You will continue to add episodes the way you do in the last one, which is just highlight the entire row and then just drag and drop, and you'll see that you'll automatically add a 31. What it won't do is it's not going to update your it's not going to update the names field. So like tier 1 episode 3, what you will have to do is if you want to update your episodes and you want all your dynamics to stay current, you will need to go into formulas and then define name, and then just you can copy the format that I've had, or you can wait till beta 3 when I'll probably increase this to 60 episodes most likely. And then if you do need to add more beyond whatever's there, I just recommend look at the formats and formulas that I have, check the name manager to make sure you see what the patterns are, and then do your own manual updating. I think it's the best form or best way to do that. But you'll see that, like right here, this is based on tier 1 episode 30, so this would obviously be tier 1 episode 31. And it's just a matter of copy paste You do Control C, come down here, define name, Control V, change this to 31 and hit OK. I'm not going to because I'm not going to mess up the template, but that would be how you would do that. So anyway, I'm going to back that up because we're not going to actually keep episode 31 in here. That's how you would add episodes and how you would update the records. The only other record you might not be aware of without really doing a deep dive is every block cell has something called total read-through. This is based on the old format. If you do, you'll notice that this window has changed. If you do an incomplete highlight, you'll get what's called total read-through. This is going to account for episode read-through if you do break down by tier. Because we're not going to have that information, most likely you shouldn't have to worry about that. You should really only need to worry about this cell. So as long as you update this cell, your numbers will be the same. The only reason why you need to worry about total read-through is if they do give us information on all tier token levels. In which case, then if you do add an extra episode or even an extra book, then you're going to want to be aware that that parameter is in there. But other than that, you shouldn't worry about it. It's not going to, if you ignore it, it's not going to affect any of the values. At least I don't think it will. But other than that, and the other thing I actually did from the last version, you may not notice, is I increased the font size to 12 point instead of 11 point. So things should be a little easier to see if you're if you got vision issues. But I think that's the most. It's pretty much everything there. And of course, in your template, you only go up to book 5. But if you want to add book 6, 7, and all that, there is a record in there. I think up to book 10. It's going to be more official for beta 3. But I just wanted to get this out there for you guys so you can get started on it. Because I'm probably not going to release beta 3 until after Vella is officially open. Because by then I'll have all the information I need to make it everything that we'll want, including what I want. So just so you have a preview, my plan is to possibly take this up to book 10 and then maybe 60 episodes. But I'm not going to promise more than 30. I'm going to try to go for 60. It's a lot of work. You'd be surprised how much work it is to do extra, so I may still end up letting you guys do your own updates. For me, I'm not going to probably go past 30. That's why, for me, I don't see a reason to do more. But for courtesy, I may take it up to 60 for you guys. And if you want to delete the extras that you don't need to keep it clean, that's up to you. But that's probably what's going to change in beta 3. And then the other thing for beta 3 that this one does not have is beta 3 will probably have a new page for just charts. And that way you can compare like books, see a side-by-side comparison of how each book is performing against each other. So that's probably the only other thing I'm going to add for beta 3 that this one doesn't already have. But beta 2 should give you a lot to work with. Certainly enough to get you into the launch date. So other than that, the other page that you want to be aware of is the calculations and data. If you are going to add, if you're not going to wait for beta 3 and just manually add book 6, 7, all of that, just be aware you need to copy paste each block. You want to probably actually go to number 128. That's where all my values go, to 128. That should account for 100 episodes, which is what the main chart accounts for. So you want to copy up to 128, and then you may need to move some things around to do that. But other than that, be aware that this section here, these are all cemented in. Don't mess with this section here. This is like your tax and price information. This is based off of what Vella gives us. This is not dynamic. This is hard. Well, it's not hard copy. You could change it, but I wouldn't recommend it because this is based on the values that they've given us. So leave this alone. But down here is areas where you may want to update. Again, it only counts for 5. If you do add 6, 7, 8, and all that on your own, you're going to need to just duplicate these 3 lines here and then you'll notice that the parameter says book 5. You're going to have to change all those to 6, and so on. And then of course you need to make sure you do a grouping that accounts for that, and then just read carefully what each thing is. That'd be my best advice for you. And remember the name manager, define name, all that you're going to need to keep up with. As far as ranges go, you can always highlight and see. Just figure that if it's at least 30 lines long, it's probably about 128 lines long. So just check for those ranges there. And then I think that's everything that's important right now. So hopefully it's all obvious just by reading the formula. But if you're stuck, don't worry. Beta 3 is going to give you more episodes and more books to work with. So again, I don't want to promise more than 30, but I will give you probably 10 books. So all right, that's it for the update. Let me know what you think. If you happen to download it, tell me if you like it. Tell me if you use it and all that, because I like to know if people. It took me a long time to put this together, and so it's nice to know when people decide to use it. So that's it for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the things that YouTubers tell you to do. If there's anything I left out and you're not sure how to use something, just leave a comment, and then I'll do my best to explain it. I will probably do. Actually, no, I don't want to make any promises. So we'll just, for now, I'll do one more video when Beta 3 is released to show you anything that's new if you need to be aware. But other than that, this really shouldn't be that difficult to figure out how to use. I try to give you instructions all over the sheet on how to use certain cells, and of course which ones that you should manipulate and which ones you shouldn't. And again, anything right of this line you should not be messing with. This is all dynamic. Anything left of the line, just be aware of the red font. Red font is also dynamic, which means don't mess with it. If it's got the little tags here, that is user input, and then if it's got numbers like this, it's user input. So anyway, hope that helps, and I hope this helps you keep track of your stuff, and I hope it gives you a nice projection on what your story could potentially yield with readers. So anyway, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks. Bye.